So, last time when I was crafting, I was out of ideas stuff to do. I've come up with an idea now, and basically, I've got a sword technique that I've come up... okay. So, I've come up with a technique which is... I used it on the Fat Man to make the sheet steel, but it kind of didn't... Well, it was okay, but, you know. And I want to see if it'll work on swords. Now, the first thing that came to mind was, why don't I just make shish kebab? Literally the sword that I get to have a flaming sword. I mean, who's going to say no to that, right? So I went, okay, I'll make that, but then I don't know if it'll even work on a sword. So I figured generic project, and I figured I'm yet to make a samurai sword. So let's see if I can do this without making a complete ass of myself. Here you are, that's the explanation. I'm making a samurai sword. Yay! So, at this point, I have not had any plans, anything like that involved in this. I have just, well, I looked up a picture of a samurai sword on the internet. I then, well, drew one, made some corrections, as you can see by the use of tape. Because when I first did it, it was just like a V like that. So I made some extra sections just to make it multiple sections of curve instead of just one angle in the middle. That's what all the tape's about, is I just had to tape it back together. So, first off, the handguard is not being put on like this. Like, you know, it's not going to be in the flat at the start, but I'm going to want it there because I've got to remember where it actually goes. So that's what this bit's here for. Right. So if you went here for the technique that I used with the Fat Man to make the thin steel, essentially I get a bit of card and then sandwich it in foam. Now I have no idea if this will work. I mean, it could just end up being all floppy and just falling apart, but that's why you prototype things in order to find out. Yeah. So this here is a sheet of construction card. I think it's construction card. I'm not 100%. It's card. So, of course, this sword is a little bit longer. Again, I was guessing at the dimensions, so, but I'm going to want the strength down to the end of the tip, but I'm not involved at the back of the handle, because I'm going to be building a handle around it at the end anyway, and this bit's going to get a little bit thinner, you know, for the added material, because I'm going to need like 1 centimetre total added on, and that'll end up like this big, and that would be ridiculous for a handle. So, of course, there are little modifications I have to make, but you know, it's a thing. Ow. So, first of all, I'm going to be nice to myself this time and tape it down. Hey, I'm fine, how are you? Fortunately with this, I only need most of the detail around the outside. I can still fill in gaps because, you know, experiments are experiments. That's the first time you'll have ever seen me stick down a template. But I'm considering this a challenge run to try to make it as good as possible. Because, as we all know, culturally, like, samurai swords are the best swords. I'm aware that that's just a culture thing and may not be entirely true as far as construction goes, but they are damn good, and if I can make a good one myself, I definitely feel good about my skills. I'm only marking in that handguard so I know where it goes at the end. Yeah. I can just fold them over. They don't matter, and it's just like a temporary template. Worst case scenario is I have to make it again. And if I have to make it again, whoops. I mean, something has gone very wrong. Now, I definitely say we need to reduce the width of that handle at the back. Yeah, that's too much, so... See, now I'm regretting curving it because it has to be curved, of course, but... Now you might say that in the end, the bit I'm going to add around it, that I'm going to slide on, is going to be basically fill in this gap, but then we've got the windings and all of the like wrappings around the top that you've got to do. So it's going to end up being a lot more. So let's get a knife for the first time, at least this session. You actually push it forwards on, then the back onto that, so in fact it's crossed there. Which does mean this bit needs to be extended a tiny bit. Now I don't know how long this is going to take, so sorry about that. hopefully my day was pretty good. Oops. So I now have to be careful around here because this is now loose, and if I break it, I've got to start again from the beginning. So now follow the edge on the thing. And cut again. Now I don't mind going across with scissors right at the end to do a little bit of correction, but hopefully that should separate out now. There you go. Now, at 60 centimeters, this is the shortest variation of this sword. Traditionally, they were 60 to 80. But ultimately, I'm not using it for a fight, so I don't need to worry all that much about how good it is for my body size. And I'm aware the traditional tang is actually shorter to about that length and has holes in it for connection, but it hasn't separated yet. And yes, this table is wrecked. It's old and I should treat it far better than I do. It's about right. How wobbly that is. Hopefully, with what I'm planning to do, it's going to make into a composite blade and it should stay together. So the glue gun's warming up. Which one is the good end? This end. Right. So let's just put that down here. So ultimately I'm trying to get a bunch of soft materials together so that they'll function as one strong material. But that's quite difficult to do. Oh, I did not realise we were going to have that problem. Well, it's long enough on the upside. On the downside, I can't fit at the table at the same time. All this has to be done. So, I'm going to have to come in sideways. great. So probably end up a bit like that, I think. Much now that way would be best. Now, usually I'm doing this a lot faster, but I've already said, so I'm going to stop saying it. Lips. I can't make it Japanese. At the end of the day, I'm still British regardless. Best I can do is make something that looks vaguely like a historical item and hope for the best. Here, put some more glue down. Now, because of the nature of composite materials, I have to make sure that I actually get under all of this, because if I start leaving gaps, then the material won't work properly. But hey, low-tech composites. So yeah, get a bit of glue onto that. I know, you can't really see it because unfortunately an 80cm sword is larger than my camera's area of being able to film. I'm hoping it works because this is still an experiment in part. See if it goes at all. Wasting way too much with that, but it should be okay, to be fair. So just roll this up because, you know, tidying up is very important. Right. So Next up, I need to fold this over to completely cover the bit of card inside. It's still quite floppy at the moment as well. I'm hoping it becomes stronger, but that is the point of this whole experiment. Okay, so that's that. Here, grab another glue stick. Now, the top of this blade, is going to be the section with the foam folded over, and the bottom is going to have the cardboard exposed. That should be okay when I cut it down to an edge, I think. It's okay. Right. So again, getting this to do that without messing all up is going to be the hard bit. I think at the end I'm probably going to have to heat it to take all of the warp out, because that is not a good shape for a sword upside on. So in like that, and twist. Now I'm going to be attempting to get all of the air bubbles out as I go, because, well, all of the extra like glue bubbles and stuff like that. Now, to be fair, most people don't conduct experiments like this, but in this case I'm doing them just to see if they work. Because, you know, techniques have to be invented somewhere, sometime, right? Ow. That's going to burn. Right, unfortunately, there was a little hole by there in the foam, and the glue came out of it when I squeezed, and it went straight into my hand. Now, the only reason I don't normally get burnt by touching it is because I, one, know how to touch it without getting burnt, and two, I'm very careful. When it comes to proper accidental contact like that, I still burn. It's horrible. Okay, so it's still bent, but it'll be fine. Right. I'll be back in a minute. It's just going to go grab some water for the hand. So, I mean, I'm barely going to be teaching a good example if I just ignore burns, right? And part of crafting is learning to deal with accidents. Also to note, that rain's like 4 years ago now, or 3-4 years. So yeah, as you can see in the top there, that little bit, there was a little hole poked through the foam, and all the hot glue just shot up straight into my hand where I was pushing. Now again, part one, I'm lucky that this glue gun doesn't really get that hot, and part two, that it hurt enough that it needs something done about it, but probably not enough for a severe burn, because I've had accidents like that before and I know what they feel like. But it is the downside of the material that I'm working with. But my options are literally poisonous gas or it's poisonous gases or burning, the two options, and I'm not okay with burning, but I am better with burning than poisoning. You don't have to say sorry. It's part. Getting hurt when you're crafting something is part of the crafting. You just learn it and get on with it. There's nothing you could do. It's not the first time I've been hurt, and it won't be the last. Fortunately, inside of the handle, it doesn't matter how bad it looks, so I can just cut the tang back and it's fine. So I can turn that off. Because one of the many marks on my arm is that fell on it in a stream, and I mean the hot end just went straight into my arm. Not a pleasant experience. I would put that on the top 10 of worst streaming experiences, to be fair. Now I've just got to slowly cut it back to where the actual card is without going through the card. Oh wow, I messed that up, didn't I? Oops. I mean, I've got some little mistakes there where I went up too high, but it's not bad. Okay, let's put that back on because I've decided to change the technique a little bit from what I was initially thinking. So if we roll that along there, just a little bit of roll. Also, doing this, we'll be marking it slightly. Even with the increased brightness, you may not be able to see the slight colour change of where the contact is, but there is a slightly darker where the blade isn't, because I've been rubbing stuff over it. I'm trying to do this from the other side just to convince it to straighten up, because, you know. There. And a little bit to the end. I don't really care if the foam spills out a little bit. There's a lot of correcting to be done on this later. So we've now got that. It's not as solid as I'd want, because I mean it's bending quite a bit, so I'd have to be careful with it to make it stand. Which means I need a slightly stronger spine than the cardboard that I've used. The thing is though, this card is one of the strongest materials that I have. If you look, not exactly not exactly my finest work. Huh? again, the section doesn't matter, so it's fine. It does matter if you want to do a really good job though, but if you don't care that much, it'll be fine. Because ultimately this entire section goes inside the hilt and no one will ever see it. So I can go at it with scissors if I want. Yeah. Yeah, I'm currently not happy about how solid that blade is, so I'm going to have to come up with something better. I think I could add a little bit more thing on it and it'd be okay. But I'm going to keep building anyway because I'm having fun, and isn't that the whole point of this, is just to have a bit of fun? So, next up, I need to find some 5mm, which you are. So if you go like that, do a little mark down here. And this side needs to be just a little bit thinner. So again, this is going to involve a lot of hand cutting for this, because, well, you're going to curves, and as we all know, curves are a nightmare to cut by hand. That's one. Maybe just a little bit more off the top and a little bit more off. Okay. So now we have to make a second one. Realistically, that does beg the question why I didn't just do this from the start. would have made way more sense. Unfortunately, the upside of this material is that it doesn't matter which side weighs round it is, because both sides look the same. Now, of course, be very careful when cutting your fingers. Do not just go at it all cavalier. So we've got that for one side and that for the other side. Now, for the next section, I need to actually stick those two on. I mean, I would love to construct this and actually physically put it on like that. But yeah, I don't have the ability to do that. So how big is this handguard going to be? Too big? Much too big. Yeah, that's huge. What do I have that's smaller, that is appropriately sized? Too small? Yes, that's good. So we've got that. So like that. Now I know that you can't really see the marks because they're so light, but so we've got that kind of shape. And we cut like this. And cut around like that. This down from above in the center. Wow, that's hot. That's like disturbed. That's well, like cautiously hot. So it's at 4 and okay, that's about right. Oof, that's a bit of a mess. So if we cut down here and here, across there and across there. That should now be able to just slide on like that. Let's give you a bit of thin fun. So I'm going to put some detailing on this. Not much, just, you know, a bit for fun. Okay, fine. I'll use the longer one. Okay, and up there. And we just get these little thin bits and run it around the edge. And cut it off at the end. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a lip on the edge of that one. I'll go to the other side and add a lip there. And down like that. And I thought of an easier way to do this, so I'm going to go with that because, you know, experiments are experiments. I'm going to do something the easy way, immediately wrecks it. Go. Just. Now I may well be putting too much on the back here, but So the plan here, because I haven't really explained much in a while, I'm going to cut these to shape, then stick it all together outside, and then hopefully slip it all on in one go. If that doesn't work, I mean, it doesn't matter that much, so I don't really care. But now that line has been scored. It's not very deep, but you may be able to see it there, I don't know. And of course I've got to get all the tape off the bottom so I'm not sticking on to tape. As with all cosplay, it's going to be a lot of prep work for very little actual result here. So there, I'm just sticking it down now. As I said, I want this built as well as possible, so got like that, and then along the top we don't, that bit ain't long enough, that bit ain't right. Do we actually have a long bit? Wow, the exact length. This one's interesting to get done because do you note when I cut that, I was being very careful to avoid my finger. Still fits. We'll accept that. Now I'm going to have to be careful with this one because I have to make sure it's lined up exactly or it doesn't fit. Yeah, it's that going into there, which is going to be the big bit. But wow, it's already been an hour. I thought it had not been that long. Let's turn that off. And yeah, I keep turning off. It's a form of temperature control because this doesn't have very good. And if you just leave it idle, it'll burn. Now, this foam around the handle, much stronger and much higher density than what I've used everywhere else. So where is a little bit of this so I can use it? Now, when I was putting that in earlier, this is a little bit too big for the handle, but don't worry about that. I mostly have plans. We're all good. Now this is stronger than that blade. Because I mean, whee. Whoops, don't hit the microphone. Sorry. Because it's still just cardboard at the end of the day. So I've got to get this into there. Which means I'm going to take a little bit off up the top there. And a little bit off down here. Yes, I do have Bob's smithing tools. But you know, this one's woodwork. You can't use this on metal. I mean, you can, but you never do anything. Scratch a little bit. That's also the reason why tails are cut the way they are. Just once I can get this in. Okay, that should go. So we run that down. Oops. Okay, so that's not going to work. I mean, I wanted to show off. It didn't work. And it happens. Ultimately, the technique hasn't worked. I mean, it's not awful, but you shouldn't be able to do that with a sword. So next up, I've got to round off these edges, which means I've got to turn that off and go grab another piece of equipment for a second. And when I say grab it, it's literally like in the shelves. Good thing that wasn't the thing I wanted. I will tidy that up later. Okay, maybe. It definitely needs tidying up. That's pretty dangerous down there. And this is my Dremel. It's honestly a very cheap one, but it works. That's the important bit, right? Now I've got like 15 of them here. So before I start, let's do a little bit of tidying. It is helpful to have a clean work area if you expect to do good work. Now what I'm going to be doing is grinding off the edges to make it curved around the handle. And this is going to create a lot of dust and a lot of mess. To deal with the dust going in my eyes, got eye protection, and you just saw my dust mask, which I'm going to be wearing. So it's going to sound atrocious, my apologies. Now, I'm not here on this full speed, but it is pretty loud, so if you're wearing headphones, you won't. Okay, where's my brush? Let's get all that off my hands. You can see the little bits I haven't managed to brush off yet. Where's my brush? And the back of this is now rounded off, so it's not all sharp, which is what I wanted, to be fair. That rotary tool is exactly as scary as it sounds, so definitely put it right, make sure it's safe, usual. Oh, I'd clean off my hands for a while after that. Still haven't got it right. To be fair, I've done that a lot more in the past, so... Right. So the next part, I'm going to be wrapping the handle. This is going to take a lot of foam and a lot of cutting, so... Just cut 2 more. Okay. Ugh, so much mass off those. Not bad, actually. And let's keep going. And let's stop there. So we start off there, and we're going to run the wrapping around again. Grab another loose stick. Give careful to leave a little gap because we don't want it to look like one thing, we want it to look like two. As you can see, we've got some absolutely atrocious gluing going on here, but yeah, it's not perfectly wrapped, but of course I'm going to have a section on the back connecting it too. So so if we start up here, okay, like that. Then we grab the next one. This is one of the main reasons I wanted to get it done, so you could just slide the handle on. Because having that blade flopping around out there is not the best. Okay, so I've got some bits that aren't perfect, but next up, this is possibly some of the worst wrapping I've ever done. This is amazing. That sort's massive. Like, Sengetsu's half the size of this desk. I'm so glad this stuff's so easy to get rid of, because this would be bad. Run over here. So I have a strong feeling I ain't painting this tonight. Imagine how much easier I could have done this if I didn't care. Also, it doesn't matter how good this sword turns out, the experiment still failed. No matter how pretty it is or anything else. The thing that I was testing is a failure. You know, apart from when it like does that. You know, if you hold it carefully and balance it, it works-ish. But oh, for a bit falling off then. This handle's too, the blade's too big, but so it's 3 centimeters out in length. So I need to make this. I'll mark that cross cut. Now this bit's just getting stuck on, so I do not care. So where is my knife? Just a little bit more off, just make it a little bit more pointed. Wow, no, that is appalling. Abort. It's actually surprisingly difficult to do. Just come in like that. They're not that bad. Oh, whoops. I forgot about down there. Yeah, I still think that much extra on the back is too much. Actually, no, once you add all that stuff on top of it, it's not that bad, actually. So, just transfer some of this on. That. And now we know what the approximate top is. We can just do this. Like that. Then produce a second one. It's the same size. All right, actually, I expected that much to look much worse than it does. No, a little bit off. Okay, so we start off here. Oh. Are you kidding? Yeah. I mean, it's a mess. If I was using better glue, it would be less of a mess, but I'm not, and it is what it is. Now hopefully that should be the end. Oh look, and it's all squishy because I made it out of soft material. I mean, apart from the fact the blade's like wobbly, it's really pretty good. I mean, if you hold it sideways, I mean, that's what shape it is sideways. A bit of overfill there. I can't really think of anything else I actually need to do to it. That's the thing. Wow, for something I didn't time, coming up to nearly the exact time I had scheduled is silly. Okay, so just to get rid of the things quick, I'm going to just get rid of all the spider webs and all the rest of that, where the glue hasn't worked or the glue has just gone mad. So just use a hot glue gun. Now be very careful when doing that, because if you burn the foam, it releases toxic gases and that's bad. severely burnt it in the past, and I found that out the hard way. It makes me not want to use the hot glue gun anymore. Like, yeah, it did burn a little bit, I can smell it, but not much. And I've also opened the door so we can let the air out. You know, same with spray painting. You don't do it unless you can expect. You don't do it unless you have good ventilation. So let's tidy out the table a bit. Whereas I've said before, I'm like here for half an hour afterwards just tidying. So that's why I just chuck it all straight on the floor, because I know I'm stuck tidying. Pretty good. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's about 5. The technique failed because, I mean, that bend while laying on its side is not acceptable. It's not strong enough. Oh, I just tried swinging it. That is possibly the worst. But still a pretty nice sword at the end of it that I've got. So yeah, hopefully next time I find a better material for it that's a little bit stronger. To be fair, for a short build. Also, I fully intend to paint this, but that's going to be next time. And, well, I mean, that's it for today, so I will see you next time, I guess. Thanks for coming. Hopefully you've enjoyed my experiments in sword crafting. And bye.